obviously he's got to win this fight against O'Malley next week in New Jersey, but he wants to fight 2 more times in 2025. And if he did, and if he went victorious going 4-0 on the year, he would become the first fighter in UFC history to defend a title 4 times in a calendar year. Not even Rousey, who seemingly fought every 3 months, had been able to do that. Would that elevate him or should that elevate him to a higher level should he get there? Although that's very ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the UFC will call upon him in that regard. So I don't know how accessible a goal like this is, but to the point you raised, let's say he did it. Yeah, that would change a lot. Staying relevant, winning big fights, and this is, I mean, how more relevant does MMA get than the UFC championship? That's, I mean, yes, there's levels to that too, but that's basically the highest tier. You do that 4 times in a calendar year, and dude, you're cooking with gas. I mean,
yeah, that's Poetan type shit almost.
It's and again, to the point you raised about Poetan, the reason he was called upon so much is he had to, fill in late. He had to fill in late at UFC 300, basically. So there's a heroic element to saving a card to a degree. Now, again, he'd have to have the right dance partner. Merab's not Poetan, but doing these events a solid by showing up and I'll take over the main event roles, that sits well with fans and for very good reason.
Now, look, we're going to get into this at length, this fight next week as we break it down, not only in the storylines of Monday's episode, but don't forget, next Wednesday, June 4th, in New York City, 11 a.m. Eastern, a special Wednesday pregame preview of UFC 316 as LTBC and the great Aaron Bronstetter, joins us in person. But as we're looking a week and a half out, the idea of the rematch being more competitive and more exciting than the first fight. I already established that O'Malley wasn't at 100%, although few guys are, apparently including Merab here. But what do you make of these comments from Tim Welch in that same ESPN interview when he talks specifically about the sphere and says, quote, there were tons and tons of shots that barely missed by inches for O'Malley that would have completely changed the fight. And I think a lot of it had to do with the sphere and the lighting, end quote. Now, Luke, I do lump this in with the very poor performances in boxing at that Times Square Turkey Al-Sheikh card a few weeks back, where everyone that was there, I talked to one of the judges that were inside there. They said the lights were flashing so much, the heat was high, like it was a non-traditional boxing experience. And I connect that with David Benavidez of boxing just this week in an interview on the Cejudo and Usman podcast, said publicly, Turkey asked me to fight in Alcatraz, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm not into that. I want to fight in real arenas, real fights, real fans.